Hello there, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the first Rambler Sports Locker of the year. I'm Nick Amatangelo.
And I'm Jillian Schwartz. A new season of this locker isn't the only thing kicking off. Football is back. The Bears tamed the Bengals to earn their first win. Meanwhile, my Vikings had a small setback. But let me tell you, with Adrian Peterson, mark my words, this is one for the record books. Vikings to the Super Bowl, Peterson for MVP, most valuable Peterson. He's taken names.
Huh. I thought superfan predictions like that only came from Bears fans. Personally, I'm more excited for fantasy football. I'm in 4 leagues this year, and I started off on the right foot. I benched Peyton Manning the week he scored 46 points, and then played the Ravens defense, who got me -6 points. Just an absolutely perfect start for me.
Well, not to be outshone by the NFL, the U.S. soccer team took down Mexico and is officially heading to the World Cup playoffs. In Rambler soccer news, some of Loyola's players have been making the headlines as well. Both Eric Knock and Monica Gagno earned the Men's and Women's Athlete of the Month spots. An injury left fifth-year senior Knock on the bench last year, but after scoring both goals in the season opener at Michigan, it looks like he's ready to make up for some lost time. And as a junior this year, Gagno has already proven herself on the pitch after racking up 7 saves in her first 2 games. It looks like both soccer teams are giving us a lot to look forward to this year.
Things did get dicey for junior goalie Monica Gagno and the women's team on Wednesday, September 11th, when they took on the University of Wisconsin Badgers. The Badgers sent 5 shots past Gagno while playing shutdown defense en route to a 5-1 victory. While the Ramblers' chances on offense were few and far between, sophomore midfielder Jessica Bean was able to score her first collegiate goal. The loss brings Loyola's record to 1-3-2 on the season as the team gets ready for Missouri Conference play this weekend. The team will travel to Edwardsville to take on the Southern Illinois University Salukis on Friday, September 13th. As students make their way back to the classroom, the fall sports teams are making their way back to the field. Among them is one of Loyola's most unique teams, the Loyola Lumos, our school's very own Quidditch team.
If you walk by Hallis Field one night this fall, you might see a scene straight from J.K. Rowling's best-selling series, Harry Potter. Quaffles fly through hoops as students dodge bludgers while running around on brooms. No, you haven't stepped into Rowling's fantasy world. You're just watching Loyola's very own Quidditch team hard at practice. However, you might notice them working a little bit harder this year.
In the last 2 years, we've gotten a lot more competitive, and we are constantly improving. We have a great crop of new freshmen, and we're also becoming more structured with our practices.
The increasing competitiveness of the team that once started out as an intramural league has since grown into a group of players that are truly passionate about the game.
I really like how it's really a combination, like 5 or 6 sports. It's a combination of rugby, soccer, basketball, football, even water polo in some aspects. And I really like it's a diverse mix of sports, and it's really unique, and it makes for a really fun athletic activity. And I also like the people. Everyone who plays Quidditch is really nice and accepting and friendly, and I've made some of the best friends in my life playing Quidditch, so those are kind of the reasons why I like it.
While Wizards would deny any ties to the Muggle world, Joe says that Quidditch draws on key characteristics from many other sports we see every day.
I come up with all the drills. I'm the coach, pretty much. So a lot of it is just picking drills that, based off experience, things we need to work on. Again, I played sports all my life, so I know some basketball drills, some soccer drills, and things to incorporate with ball movement and how to play defense correctly. So we just kind of bring those to the pitch. There's not really anything different from the other drills other than we have a broom.
To get the team back into top form after the loss of many key seniors, they're putting extra effort into training the new beaters.
Last year we lost a lot of our beaters because they graduated, and they were some of our best players. So the goal this year is to really work with our new beaters and the ones that have already been on the team who haven't graduated yet. So that's kind of what we have to work on the most to get there, because that was a big part of our team, big part of our game, and why we were so good.
Loyola's Quidditch team will play 3 tournaments this year, with the ultimate goal making it to Myrtle Beach for the World Cup, where they'll play teams from all around the world.
If we get to that World Cup tournament, the stands are packed. There's thousands of people there. So hopefully we can get to that level this year again.
For the Rambler Sports Locker, I'm Emily Brown.
The team will find out if their new strategy will pay off this October when they travel to Miami of Ohio Phoenix Cup tournament. For more information on when and where these games are, check out the Quidditch team's Facebook page or Twitter account at LUC Quidditch.
Loyola's fall sports seem to be shaping up for a great season, and the song remains the same for men's and women's cross country. At the Badgers season opener, the men's team locked up a second-place finish led by junior Sam Penzenstadler, who finished 5th overall. Penson Stather was also just named the Missouri Valley Conference Scholar Athlete of the Week. Not to be outdone, though, the women's team finished in third place, led by senior Olivia Clark. Keep an eye out for sophomore Sydney Stankel, though, who has finished just 1 second behind Clark. The teams will be back at it on September 20th at the National Catholic Championships at Notre Dame in South Bend, Indiana.
And now it's time to take a trip back to 1976. Megan Carabelli is joining us here for our brand new segment, This Week in History.
Thanks, Nick. We'll take a look back at this week 37 years ago. The New England Patriots and the Baltimore Colts met again for their rivalry at Schaefer Stadium in Foxborough, Massachusetts. Coming off their rivalry win in December of 1975, Baltimore was down 2 touchdowns when quarterback Burt Jones threw 2 touchdowns within 41 seconds of each other. Colts safety Jackie Wallace tied the team record of intercepting 3 passes, leading the visiting Baltimore Colts to defeat the Patriots in their season opener 27-13. Burt Jones went on that year to have his finest professional season, throwing a career-high 24 touchdowns and becoming the Associated Press's NFL Most Valuable Player and Offensive Player of the Year. And that's This Week in History. Back to you guys.
Thanks, Megan.
Men's golf took second place at the Green Bay Invite this past Tuesday, finishing just 4 strokes behind the hosting Phoenix. Junior Nick Dennis kept a strong pace, finishing 3 under par on the first day and just 1 over on day 2, coming out 1 shot behind the Green Bay leader. Joining Dennis in the top 10 finishers were freshman Garrett Marschke, which was his first appearance as a Rambler, and senior Alex Cusimano. Cusimano was also named Missouri Valley Conference Men's Golfer of the Week this week. You can catch these guys at their next appearance at the D.A. Weibring Intercollegiate hosted by Illinois State University on September 15th and 16th.
The women's golf team was in action earlier this week as well at the Green Bay Invitational in Green Bay, Wisconsin. The team rode senior April Ohlendorf to a 5th place finish out of 9 teams. Ohlendorf's 2-day score of 155 was good enough for 5th place overall finish. Sophomore Bernice Siddempel also finished with a top 10 finish in the tournament. The ladies next hit the links on September 16th and 17th for the CSU Cougar Classic right here in Chicago. Blind mice, rings in a circus, this trinity of examples. There are lots of things that come in threes. Get ready to add another trio to that list in our brand new segment, MVC Top 3. We'll be serving up a fresh trio of clips each week so that your knowledge of the Missouri Valley will always be at its peak. So what do you got for us this week, Joe?
This week, we're going to take you through the top 3 things you should know about the Missouri Valley Conference, starting with number 3. Respect your elders. The Valley is the second oldest Division I conference in the nation, having been established way back in 1907. The only conference that's been around longer, the Big Ten, which was founded 12 years earlier. The MVC has seen a total of 45 programs come and go over the course of the century, including Kansas, Oklahoma, and even our dear friends over at Butler. In total, the 10 full-member institutions can lay claim to 23 national team titles, including the Southern Illinois Salukis taking home the Division I AA football championship in 1983, which brings us to item number 2. There's football. Well, sort of. The Missouri Valley itself hasn't sponsored football since 1985, but that didn't mean schools in the conference stopped playing. Illinois State and Southern Illinois both kept their programs and joined the Gateway Football Conference. Missouri State, Indiana State, and Northern Iowa all jumped in along the way as they eventually became known as the Missouri Valley Football Conference in 2008. While their MVC and football-based brothers share the name, they're not directly affiliated, but the conference is 10 members strong and one of the powerhouses in the football championship subdivision. North Dakota State has won back-to-back national championships representing the conference. Now, you'd be hard-pressed to find any household names on the football rosters from back in the day, but the number one thing you should know is that there's no shortage of notable alums. Kyle Korver honed both his sharpshooting and sick hairstyling skills at Creighton. Before he was hitting walk-off home runs in the World Series, Joe Carter took home Player of the Year honors in 1981 while at Wichita State. But when it comes to MVC legends, you'll find no two better than NBA Hall of Famers Oscar Robertson and Larry Bird. There's no doubt the Big O was the best player in the nation during his playing days at Cincinnati when the Bearcats were still part of the conference. All he did during his 3 years was average nearly 34 points per game while setting 14 NCAA records and winning Player of the Year award every season. Not to be outdone, Larry Legend did quite a bit of damage during his 3 years at Indiana State as well. He took home Player of the Year honors in 1979 after leading the Sycamores to their first ever title game appearance. It was the first time Bird ever squared off with Magic Johnson in what would become one of the greatest player rivalries in the history of sport. And guys, many people credit that rivalry with saving the popularity of the NBA, which is not a claim that many conferences can make.
Absolutely. Well, thanks for that, Joe.
It's been a long summer break, but not long enough, of course, and lots has happened in the world of sports. Hockey wrapped up at the end of June, and 4 months of baseball have passed. We know that not everyone stayed in the city over the summer, so Ariana Slater is here to catch you up on what you missed this summer from your favorite Chicago teams.
First of all, how about them Blackhawks? Not only did they win the President's Cup and the Stanley Cup, they did it in history-making fashion. They made 2 goals in 17 seconds of Game 6 of the Stanley Cup Finals to defeat the Boston Bruins. Forward Patrick Kane also came away with some hardware for himself when he won the Conn Smythe Trophy. The team brought the cup back to a crowd of 40,000 fans in downtown Chicago. Perhaps the most heartwarming part of the whole day was when Kane professed his love to all the city's cab drivers and promised to keep his shirt on this summer. However, we do not have stats to confirm or deny if he kept his word. Looks like we're waiting for next year again on the north side. The good news for the Cubs is that Theo Epstein and Jed Hoyer spent all summer playing with all the new toys in the Cubs' now loaded farm system. The bad news is that the farm system is probably better than the big leagues. Core players Anthony Rizzo, Starlin Castro, and Jeff Samardzija were supposed to lead a youth movement that would begin the long-term turnaround for the Cubs this season. But the growing pains were too much to overcome as the Cubs followed up their tremendously awful 2012 season with nearly the same results this season. All things considered, you didn't miss too much. Just make sure you're around for 2015 when all these new prospects find their way to the friendly confines. Things were much better on the south side. Actually, they were worse. Terms usually reserved to describe their counterparts up north applied to the Sox this year as a season's worth of sloppy play left the Southsiders in the cellar of the AL Central. It pretty much seems like a team that spent a good chunk of the last season in first place forgot all the fundamentals. The team ended up selling off star names like Jake Peavy and Alex Rios in hopes of retooling their own farm system. It looks like baseball fans of both sides of town are going to have to be patient over the next course of the few summers. In the meantime, we suggest taking your focus off the diamond and keeping it on the ice.
Thanks, Ari. Well, with hockey still a few weeks away, the flavor of the week is still football. And what's a discussion about America's game without Johnny Manziel? Brace yourselves, it's wall-to-wall pigskin in this edition of the Weekly Ramble.
All right, and here we are at the first Ramble of the year. You guys know what it is, but we're going to explain it for you. Right here we got my man Nabil, Joaquin, and of course the Brennan Bond Memorial Podium, as always. What we're going to do is we're going to ask these fine gentlemen 3 questions, and whoever I feel has the best answers will get the points and win the whole thing. So, you guys ready to do this? Are you guys ready to do this? Let's do it. All right, let's do it. First question goes to Nabil. So this week we saw 63 touchdowns in the NFL, and that got me thinking. If you were to pick a quarterback to lead your team to the Super Bowl today, who are you taking?
I'm going to take Aaron Rodgers, and here's why.
Go, Pack, go! Go, Pack, go!
Let's hear it.
I'm going to take Aaron Rodgers because he's at his prime. He's 29 years old. He's younger than any of the top quarterbacks that are compared to him, and he also has led the Packers to the postseason 4 straight years. He led us a Super Bowl victory 3 years ago. He's thrown a bunch of touchdowns. Last year he threw 39. The year before that he threw 45. And he has the lowest touchdown interception ratio in NFL history at 1.7%. And he has the highest QB rating in NFL history at 104.9 and 122.5 for a single season record, which was in 2011. And he also faces the toughest competition. The NFC is stacked this year, and I think Aaron Rodgers is definitely the best quarterback in the league.
It's rich and compelling. Joaquin?
All right, well, Chris, I think I'm going to go with Mark Sanchez this year. You know, he had a really great preseason.
Wait. Did you hear that he busted up his knee?
Oh, okay.
His shoulder. Either way, he couldn't throw to start with.
I guess I'll go with, Peyton Manning. I'll go with Peyton Manning. He's 37. He's 37 years. He's 37 years old, and he's still doing it at an elite level. And don't take my word for it. Just look at Week 1 versus the Baltimore Ravens. The guy threw for 462 passing yards, which is the second highest in his career. He had 7 touchdown passes, which tied a record that hadn't been matched since 1969. Okay, he threw to 7 different receivers, 4 of which had touchdowns themselves. And quite frankly, he made the Baltimore Ravens defense look awful.
They look like punks.
And this is I mean, they don't have Ed Reed, they don't have Ray Lewis, they don't have the players that they used to have, but they still have Terrell Suggs. They still have they got Dumervil from the Broncos. They still have a reputable defense, and he made them look terrible. And quite frankly, he's 37 years old. It's pretty much now or never for him. He's got to get that ring now. So he's got one thing on his mind. He's got that ring on his mind. He needs to get his second one.
As many as Rodgers.
If I'm a general manager, I want somebody who's getting his ring now, so I'm picking Peyton Manning.
All right. You know, both sides put up great arguments, but with what we've seen more recently, I think I have to go with Peyton Manning on this one. Rodgers had a great year, but, I mean, Peyton looks strong now. All right, number 2, we're going to start with you, Joaquin.
Okay.
If you had to pick an early season Heisman winner, who you got?
All right, this is a little bit more difficult question, given that we've only had 2 weeks of college football right now, and so there's been no clear leaders in Heisman contention right now.
Aaron Murray.
With that being said, I'm going to go with Taj Boyd, who played Aaron Murray versus Georgia in week 1. Played Aaron Murray as the Clemson played Georgia in week 1, and Taj Boyd was electric. 270 passing yards, 3 touchdowns through the air, 2 more through on the ground. The guy was dynamic versus a good SEC football team, one of the top 3 SEC football teams in the country. And SEC, obviously, everybody knows, is explosive. So he's looking for his Heisman. He's going to get his Heisman this year.
Can you top that?
Yeah, I'm going to go with Teddy Bridgewater from Louisville, and here's why.
Okay.
Teddy Bridgewater, last year, he led Louisville to 11-2 record and an upset Sugar Bowl victory over Florida. And this year, in his first 2 games, he's looking great. He has 9 touchdowns, 1 interception. He's completed over 76% of his passes, and he's passed for over 750 yards already in his first 2 games. And basically, I think Teddy Bridgewater is going to take home the Heisman by the end of the year.
What conference did you play in again?
All right. In this case, I think I'm going to have to go with Nabil and Teddy Bridgewater on this one. Yeah, an upset pick. Boyd seems to be the prototypical Heisman winner, but I don't see his play style lasting with all the rushing. Bridgewater is a much better passer to me, and I think that's why he's going to pull it out. All right, last question. This Saturday, we have the game of the year, Alabama, Texas A&M. Who you got?
Johnny Football!
I have Alabama. They're looking for revenge from last year's close loss. They're ranked number 1 in the country. They're coming off, basically, they have 8 defensive starters returning. They have A.J. McCarron, who had 30 touchdowns last year. And basically, I think Texas A&M's defense is not going to be able to handle Bama because Texas A&M's defense last 2 weeks gave up 900 total yards, and they basically gave up 59 total points to Sam Houston State and Rice, and I don't think they're going to be able to handle it.
Fair enough.
Look, I get it. Alabama is a good team. They've won the championship the past 2 years, 3 out of the past 4. I'm going with Texas A&M, okay? Yeah. Basically because Alabama was supposed to be known, was supposed to go into the season having a dynamic run game. Did not see it against Virginia Tech week 1. They actually didn't even play week 2, so they didn't have a chance to build on the sort of lackluster performance the offense gave week 1. And meanwhile, Texas A&M had 2 pretty good games, and their quarterback Johnny Manziel, who was suspended for half a game, so he only played a game and a half. He had 7 touchdowns in his first game and a half. No, 7 touchdowns, 6 through the air, 500 passing yards, 1 rushing touchdown. So basically this year, Texas A&M's taking Alabama. Johnny Football is going to roll that tide right to the cleaners.
All right, getting a little personal over here. Well, for me, I got to go with Johnny Football. The dude wins games. Point, game, match.
Week 1 champion.
All right, well, that's this edition's Ramble. And if you have any disagreements with my answers, take it to Facebook and tell me what I did wrong. All right? That's it. Back to you at the desk.
I gotta say, it's gotta be Aaron Rodgers. He is by far.
Speaking of Aaron Rodgers, Adrian Peterson, I'm gonna tell you right now, touchdowns for the world. Carry on.
At any rate, that will do it here for another episode of the Rambler Sports Locker. Be sure to like our Facebook page and follow us on Twitter and Instagram using the handles you see below. Until next time, I'm Nick Amatangelo.
And I'm Jillian Schwartz. Thanks for stopping by the locker, and don't forget to turn off the lights.